Hello, and thank you for joining the Washtenaw County Road Commission's information meeting regarding the Werkner Road Project. My name is Tiffany Oliphant. I'm the Communications Manager here at WCRC. This morning, I will go over the meeting instructions before turning it over to staff for the presentation about the project, and then we'll open the meeting up for your questions and answers. Joining me today is Aaron Burkholtz, our Assistant Director of Engineering for the Washtenaw County Road Commission. He will be our presenter today. The meeting audio and video is being recorded and will be posted to the project page on wcroads.org in the next day or two. After the presentation, you'll be able to ask questions virtually when you raise your hand during the Q&A portion. I will provide instructions at the time on how to do this from either your computer, the Zoom app, or phone. The chat feature for this meeting is turned on, and if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to ask it in the chat, and we'll address it during the Q&A. You can find the chat window at the bottom of your screen. And now I'll turn it over to Burke.
Good morning, everyone. As Tiffany said, my name is Aaron Burkholtz. I'm the Assistant Director of Engineering here at the Washtenaw County Road Commission. You also just heard her refer to me as Burke. That is a name that I commonly go by. It is not uncommon for you to hear my colleagues, my friends, and my family refer to me as Burke. So as others may participate in this morning's informational meeting, if you hear that, that's me. But we'll go ahead and get started here. Here is an overview of the Werkner Rd Project that's being proposed for 2026 for this construction season. Again, it's hard to believe that we're going to go into road construction as we sit here and look out the window on a very cold, wintry day. But certainly spring will come at some point. I hope that the groundhog was wrong and that maybe spring will come sooner rather than later. But regardless, this is a project that's slated for this construction season. Our intention is to improve Werkner Road between Sibley Road at the south end and M52 at the north end. And just to share something, again, with me having worked many years as a civil engineer and specifically as a road builder, my brain always thinks from south to north and from west to east, because when we work with a set of plans, basically that's the way the plans are laid out. We start with our point of beginning at the south end down at Sibley Road, and then our point of ending is at the north end at M52. So we've got two segments of road here that we are going to improve in different manners. The south end from Sibley Road extending north to the City of Chelsea water plant driveway, that's about 1,200 feet. And that's going to be handled in one manner as far as the road surface improvement. And then from that point, from the City of Chelsea water plant driveway, extending about 3,700 feet north from there up to M52, is going to be handled in a different manner. There's going to be a different type of improvement. And again, we'll get into that as we go through today's presentation. We're going to highlight those two different sections of the project and what the scope of work, what the scope of improvements will be for each one. Next slide, please. You may ask very reasonably, why did we pick this project? Why did we pick Werkner Road? And largely, our decision-making is driven by asset management. We have thousands of miles of county road in Washtenaw County, and for us to effectively invest and be good stewards of the public's money, we have to apply a management strategy, an asset management strategy. And so the idea behind that is we look at the road condition and we apply the right fix at the right time in the right place. Our intention is to extend the service life of the road. And a good example is a leaky roof. So any of us that are homeowners, at some point, we have to deal with this. If you replace your shingles on your roof on a reasonable timeline, shingles only last so long. So if you replace those shingles on a reasonable timeline before they completely deteriorate, you don't have to do any work underneath those shingles. However, if you, for whatever reason, don't have the financing or you simply don't realize the need to replace those shingles, it can lead to greater issues, and then you end up with a leaky roof. And the reason that a roof leaks is because you've got that underlying material, that lumber underneath that starts to deteriorate. You haven't taken care of the surface, the shingles, and so it starts to deteriorate underneath there. Well, at that point, you can't simply tear those shingles off and put new shingles on top of deteriorated wood that's underneath. You have to pull the shingles off and you have to replace what's underneath. You have to do a more extensive scope of work, a more extensive scope of improvements. And we really apply the same line of thinking with roads. Depending on the condition of the road, we can use a different mix of fixes. So we use that term a lot, mix of fixes, is depending on the surface of that road, depending on the structure of that road, the thickness of the road, the condition of the road, the type of materials there, we can use different types of fixes, but employing different types of fixes, there's a financial impact. Again, to state it simply, it costs more money to improve a deteriorated road than it does to continue to maintain an existing road that's in good or fair condition. Next slide, please. And so, again, continuing to talk about asset management strategies that we employ here at the Road Commission, we look at the Pavement Surface Evaluation and Rating. That's called PACER. And so basically that is a visual surface rating that we apply to our county roads, our paved county road system. So if a road is in good condition, that's a PACER rating of 8 to 10. And everything is based on a 1 to 10 scale. So 10 being the best, like a brand new road, and 1 being a completely deteriorated road. That would be in the poor category. And you can see that's broken out into good, fair, and poor. Werkner Road is currently rated poor. It's a 2 on that PACER rating scale. And we have 2 staff here at the Road Commission that have been trained in visual inspection, visual assessment of our paved county roads. And we do that evaluation on our primary county roads every year. So annually, we have those staff go out and evaluate every mile of our paved primary county road system. And then we go out every other year and we evaluate our local county road system, the paved portion. Next slide, please. And so this is kind of the culmination of that PACER rating work. This is directly out of the township booklet that we provide to Sylvan Township on an annual basis. Each of our 20 townships here in Washtenaw County receives an annual township booklet. And in that booklet, we provide quite a bit of information on the condition of the road network, various investment strategies that are available, whereby the Road Commission and the township can partner. And Sylvan Township has partnered successfully. They've been a good partner with the Washtenaw County Road Commission. For the most part, our townships partner with us financially on the improvement of local county roads. So you can see on this map, there's a key, there's a legend in the lower left-hand corner of the map, and you can see that talks about state trunk lines. I-94 is a state trunk line. It talks about county primary roads. So this portion of Werkner Road that we're talking about today is in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, and you can see that's a county primary road, and then county local roads. And you can see an example would be Bush Road is a county local road. Really where we need township financial participation is on improvements to the county local roads, not the county primary roads. And there's no requirement for any of our townships to partner with us financially, but more often than not, on the county local roads, they are the agency that partners with us financially, so we can improve those county locals. But again, the project we're talking about today, Werkner Road, is a county primary road. Therefore, there is no township financial participation in the project. And you can also see that Werkner Road is directly adjacent to the city of Chelsea city limits. So, you've got the city of Chelsea city limits along the east side of the road and along the south side there along Sibley. So pretty much that portion of Werkner Road from Sibley Road to Ivy Road, if you're on the east side or if you're on the south side in that map, you're in the city of Chelsea. Next slide, please. So, again, going through how we selected Werkner Road, we get into a funding discussion. And so Werkner Road is funded in large part through the roads and non-motorized millage here in Washtenaw County. The current millage extends from fiscal year 2025, calendar year 2025, through calendar year 2028. So again, that's a 4-year roads and non-motorized millage. That was passed with voter support of the voters here in Washtenaw County, and we're very thankful for that. Really, having that funding generated through the county road millage allows us to make significant headway, and has allowed us to make significant headway as we've strived to improve primarily the county primary road network. It also is a non-motorized millage. So there is a portion of that millage that goes directly to Washtenaw County parks that basically is used for things such as the M52 trail or the border-to-border trail that extends along Huron River Drive. But again, that's right off the top of the funding that's generated by the millage. That goes to county parks. And then the millage also provides funds to the Washtenaw County Road Commission, as well as the municipalities, the cities within Washtenaw County. They each get their fair share of that road millage. So for instance, City of Ann Arbor, City of Ypsilanti, and City of Chelsea do receive funds through the county road millage. Also, when the Road Commission sets out to plan our projects that we intend to complete through the road millage, we make sure that the funding that's generated within one of the 20 townships, that's allocated into that township. So I often use the term, we are not stealing from Peter to pay Paul, because you can imagine it would be unfair for us to take funding that was generated from one township and spend it in another. So again, in the sense of fairness, we try to be very mindful that as we identify roads within a given township, we're basically putting the millage money generated by that township into those roads. And again, that's how we brought about looking closely at Sylvan Township and the county roads within Sylvan Township, looking at the primary county roads within Sylvan Township, and seeing where the best expenditure of that road millage could take place. Werkner Road was originally scheduled for 2025. So as we lay out our plan for the new road millage, so as we sat as a team here at the Road Commission and we looked at candidates, we picked Werkner Road, and then we identify a planned scope of work. So again, I want to stress the fact that when you're going through the planning phase of a project, you're looking at it from the 30,000 foot view. It's a broad overview of the road condition, and based on that road condition, what the planned cost of the project might be. The number we use for planning is not an accurate number when you delve into the details of a project. So as a for instance, when we plan to do a 2-inch mill and resurfacing of a road, we use roughly $300,000 per mile, and that's for a 2-lane county road. Again, that is a planning number. That is not a refined engineer's estimate. In the same fashion, when we plan to crush a road, when we're planning to pulverize an existing road, and then use that material as the base for a new asphalt surface, we use the general number of about $500,000 per mile for a 2-lane county road. Again, that $500,000 is just a broad planning number that's used, but we have to have a number if we're going to thoughtfully be able to allocate those millage funds. When we indicate on the map, when we're planning the millage, and we indicate on that millage investment map that we intend to work on a road, we feel strongly that that's our commitment to the public, that we are making a promise to the public, the voters of Washtenaw County, that if there is a road on that map, that we're going to improve that road. And I believe, and we believe, that that's a big part of the success that we've had here with the road millage, is that I'll openly admit, and I think others attending today may be willing to admit, that some of the taxes we pay, we don't know exactly what those taxes go to, what they're used for. But when someone supports the road millage, there's a commitment by the road commission to improve those roads that are listed. And I think that that's why there's been consistent support, is that the motoring public, the non-motorized public, knows that if we indicate we're going to improve a road, that we're going to follow through and do so. So again, to get back to the project at hand, Werkner Road, we had planned that for 2025. Based on the condition of the road, and we'll get into that here shortly, everyone that drives that road can see that it's in an advanced state of deterioration, particularly the north end that I referenced, that section 2 that's north of the Chelsea water plant. And so we wanted to get out there and improve the road as promptly as we could for the public. Well, as we did our initial review of the road, just driving the road, we knew that there was going to be a concern by the public in regards to the improvements, the scope of work, and what the impact along the roadsides might be. Because we recognize that there are several mature trees that grow along both sides of Werkner Road. With that in mind, we actually delayed the project. We made a conscious decision to delay the project from 2025 to 2026 construction, and we engaged an engineering consultant, a consultant who's worked with us, to prepare a set of design plans for the project. And really, that's what we've been working on with the design consultant, is to look more closely, to delve into the details of the road improvement so that we can have a thoughtful discussion with the public and with individual property owners about what the impacts may be. Because again, we identified in 2025 that to rush into a project like this would not be mindful. It would not show the road commission being good stewards of the roads, of the public trust, of the public funding. And so we knowingly waited to undertake this project. And that's the point we're at now, is we're going through that design process. We're engaging the public so that we can have a thoughtful discussion, so that we're not using kind of that planning idea. We're not looking at it from 30,000 feet. We're starting to get into the details and get closer to the project so we understand what potential impacts might be. Next slide, please. So we refer to design engineering as preliminary engineering. Here in the office, we refer to it as PE. So preliminary engineering involves either our internal staff working through a design or us partnering and paying one of our design consultants. And that's what we're going through right now on Werkner Road, is we have hired an engineering design consultant. Their name is Rowe. So we've worked with Rowe on the preliminary engineering for this project. As engineers, we employ design standards. And so I've listed a couple here that we look at. One is the AASHTO Green Book. Technically, that's known as the Geometric Design of Highways and Streets. The Green Book has been around for decades, and it is commonly used by civil engineers, by road builders to determine the layout of a road and improvement for a road and the dimensions that would be used for that road improvement. We also reference the MDOT Design Guide. And in particular, what the design guide, the MDOT Design Guide gets into is shoulder widths and drainage alternatives. So it's been talked about previously for those of you that have been engaging the Road Commission about this project, that if this project was involving federal funding that's allocated through the state of Michigan, through MDOT, the Road Commission would have to, we would be required to follow the MDOT design guideline. That guideline calls for 6-foot shoulders along each side of the road for an improvement such as we're looking at here. So again, in this case, we are not using federal funds. We are using locally generated funds through the millage, and therefore we have the ability to thoughtfully depart from the MDOT design guide. So again, we've done that here, again, being very thoughtful about the impacts of departing from the design guide in order to try to be context sensitive and to try to be thoughtful about the impacts along the outsides of the road. I should note that, again, I'll refer to property frontages. And the reason I use that term is typically the Road Commission along our county road network has a 33-foot right-of-way. So if you measure from the center of a road 33 feet to either side, that is the county road right-of-way that exists for the Road Commission to improve and maintain a road corridor. Again, not all right-of-ways are 33 feet either side. Some are more, some are less. But again, that's just kind of a general rule of thumb. Again, the homeowners, depending on the property, may actually own property to the center line of a county road. That does happen, where a property description will extend to the center of the road. But the Road Commission possesses that authority within that right-of-way to control the right-of-way and to thoughtfully improve it to promote the efficiency and the safety of the motoring and the non-motorized public. Next slide, please. So, to go back to the first slide that I showed, again, that was the aerial view, and I talked about the two sections of road, the differing scopes of work that we're going to use here based on the condition of the road surface. So, the south end is going to be a mill and resurface, and that would be that portion that extends from Sibley Road going north approximately 1,200 feet to the City of Chelsea water plant driveway. And a mill and resurface can be used for pavement that's in fair condition. So again, I talked about the PACER ratings, our asset management, and I talked about the leaky roof. In this case, this portion of Werkner Road, we just need to take the shingles off and put new shingles on. The road is in a fair condition where we can do a milling, a removal of the top 2 inches of asphalt, and then placement of 2 inches of new hot mix asphalt in its place. The portion from the City of Chelsea water treatment plant drive going north up to M52, unfortunately, that is a leaky roof. That has gone too far. We cannot use a mill and resurface on that portion of the road. The road needs a more extensive improvement, and that's going to involve a pulverize and paving. So basically, the existing road would be crushed, it would be pulverized. That existing asphalt material that's in there would be blended with the underlying stone base that's underneath there, and then new asphalt would be added to the top of that modified base material. That scope of work is used for the leaky roof scenario. That is for pavement that is in poor condition. So unfortunately, what's occurred over time on that section of Werkner Road is really due to financial constraints. The road commission was never in a position to be able to improve that portion of that paved county primary road. So really, with the finance that was available, over time the road commission would add some wedging, and that's kind of a patch to the outside edges of the paved road, and then we would put a chip seal down. And I won't get too far into a discussion of chip seal, but I'm sure many of you are aware of what chip seal is. Basically, we were just trying to get by and make a very minimal investment in that portion of Werkner Road just to try to get by. And really, the road needs more extensive improvements, and now we're financially in a position that we can deliver on that. Next slide, please. So kind of repeating what I've talked about already in today's presentation, the portion that I'll refer to as Section 1, that's the southerly portion, extends from Sibley Road to 1,200 feet north. So again, that's approximately to the City of Chelsea Water Plant Drive. That is going to be milled and resurfaced. We would slightly widen the asphalt there. And I'm going to stay away from widening the road because we're not going to widen the traveled lanes on the road. The existing lanes are approximately 11 feet on either side of the center line, and we would basically keep that. We're going to remark the lanes at 11 feet wide. We're going to add slightly to each outside edge with asphalt so that we can get a 6-inch white edge line along each side of this portion of the road. In the past, we had previously used 4-inch white edge lines and 4-inch yellow center lines. But in the past few years, we have been transitioning into 6-inch wide lines for the edge line and for the yellow center line. And really, that provides improved safety for the motorist, particularly on a dark and stormy night. The motorist can more accurately see the edge of the road, see the center of the road, and also with current vehicles, with vehicles that rely on those markings for things like lane assist or lane departure, it helps to have that wider edge line and wider center line. But again, there will be a slight widening of the asphalt from edge of pavement to edge of pavement through here. We would go from 22 feet to 24 feet. We do not plan on making any drainage improvements through this portion, and there would only be one tree removal that would be needed here based on the plan as it currently is being presented. And the tree, and we'll point that out later in the presentation, this one tree in this section of the improvement is very near the edge of the existing pavement. We would have a very difficult time getting even one more foot of asphalt through here without damaging the tree or simply having this new asphalt immediately abut the tree. It would be right up against this tree. So again, we'll get into that here shortly. Next slide, please. So here is what we refer to as a typical cross section. And this is part of the plan set that we would use to construct a road. We would put it out for contractor bid. We would receive pricing on that plan set. And so this would be one sheet of the plan set that would depict the construction on the road. And again, this is for the 1,200 feet to the south. That's the mill and resurfacing. And you can see this depicts where we have the proposed 11-foot lane. That matches the existing. And then a proposed 1-foot HMA. HMA is hot mix asphalt. So there's a 1-foot shoulder on either side. Again, the intention in adding that 1 feet to either side is to allow for, to provide for a white edge line to be applied. Really, the existing road through here, some areas have white edge line, I'll say remnants of white edge line, and some areas the white edge line is completely deteriorated away because there's really not sound material there for us to mark with the paint. But again, this would be the existing and the proposed typical cross sections that depict the road. If you're looking at it, if we were to cut the road and look at it from the side, this is what we're looking at here. Next slide, please. So this is the proposed plan to the north. Again, I've talked about this previously in today's presentation. This is section 2. So this extends from approximately the City of Chelsea water plant, 3,700 feet north to M52. Again, this is the leaky roof portion of the road. We can't simply slap some shingles or do a mill and resurface on this section of road. It's too far gone. So what we would do here is we would pulverize, shape, and compact the existing road material. Again, that involves bringing out a pulverizing machine that blends the existing asphalt material and the underlying aggregate, that stone base, and then that modified material, that blended material, is used as a base for the new asphalt surface that's going to be put on. Again, there's a mix of asphalt materials here. There's the old original asphalt, there's cold patch, there's asphalt wedging that's been done over the years. All that material is going to be blended together. It's going to be shaped to provide a 2% crown. The 2% crown is the slope on the road. It extends from the center line to the outside edges to shed water to either side of the road. That water, that rainfall, that storm water, it sheds it off of the road into the outside edges. It's really important to have that crown on that base material because then that translates into the 4 inches of new hot mix asphalt that's placed on top of that. Typically, a road will have a 2% crown, a 2% slope that extends from the center line to the outside edge of the road. Through this segment, again, we will not be widening the traveled portion of the road. We will maintain the existing 11-foot lane widths by applying the center line paint and by applying those 6-inch edge lines, those white edge lines along either side. So again, the traveled portion, the motorized portion of the road would remain with 2 11-foot lane widths, and then each side would have a 2-foot paved plus a 2-foot gravel shoulder width. So again, each side of this segment of road, this section 2, would have a 4-foot shoulder, 2-foot paved, 2-foot gravel on each side. We're also going to be replacing a weight-restricted culvert. There's a culvert just north of Ivy Road. You may have noticed that it's got a weight restriction on it. That's because of the culvert. The existing corrugated metal pipe culvert is deteriorating. It's corroding away. And so there's a need for that to be improved. In order for us to replace that sizable culvert there, we would have to obtain an EGLE permit. So that's the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. We would have to obtain a permit from EGLE. We also would have to obtain a water resources permit because that portion of it's referred to as the North Fork of Mill Creek, or it's referred to as the Mill Pond Drain. It is a jurisdictional county drain, so we would have to get a permit from the Drain Commission, from the Water Resources Commission, in order for us to replace that deteriorating culvert. This is the portion of the road where there will be some tree removals required to improve the drainage along each side of the road. So again, I talked about that a little bit really that crown in the road is so important to shed that storm water, that rainfall, to each side of the road. But if you're going to carry that rainwater to each side of the road, you have to have somewhere for it to go. You do not simply want to leave that drainage, that water, sitting in the road or traveling outside of the road in an uncontrolled manner. You want to knowingly handle that drainage, and that really is an investment that pays dividends in the longevity of the road. That makes the road last. Because I talked about how expensive this road work is. The mill and fill portion, roughly $300,000 per mile for a 2-lane county road, roughly $500,000 for the pulverize and pave portion for a mile of 2-lane county road. And that's not even considering the replacement of the culvert that I mentioned. So again, to invest that level of public funds, to be good stewards of that fund, we have to be able to improve the roadside drainage. We have to carry that road water away from the road to allow that road to last. Next slide, please. So here's our typical cross section for that northerly portion of the road, for that section 2. And again, it shows the existing at the top. It shows the proposed at the bottom. And so again, that proposed, it calls out that existing aggregate base. And really, again, that existing aggregate base is going to be blended with the existing asphalt material through the pulverizing process. And then we have a couple of different cross sections below. They're at the bottom of the page. And so what we've done is we've thoughtfully worked with Rowe, our engineering consultant, to put curb and gutter along some segments of the road here at the north section, at section 2. And you can see there on the lower left, we show that curb and gutter. Really, the benefit of curb and gutter is that if you thoughtfully employ it, you can reduce the impact on the roadside frontage. But in order for that to work, that roadside frontage has to rise up from the road. It has to slope up away from the existing road. You can't really use it on properties that fall away from the road, because you can imagine a curb and gutter, the back of a concrete curb and gutter is higher than the existing road. So if it's higher than the existing road, to have a property that falls away from the road, you actually would be impacting more of that frontage if you put a curb and gutter in. So again, this provides kind of an overview of a curb and gutter section in the lower left. That would be a 2-foot wide curb and gutter versus a more traditional uncurbed section. And that would be simply the 2-foot paved and 2-foot gravel shoulder falling into a slope that would slope away from the outside edge of the shoulder. But again, in both cases, be it a curbed section or an uncurbed section, really it's necessary to be able to control that drainage, to be able to drain that water away from the road. It would be similar to, and I apologize, I keep using the roofing as an example of an improvement. Houses have gutters for a reason, is because there is a slope to the roof. The road water, the roof water runs to the gutters, and that is effectively carried away from the gutters to a discharge point. It is not simply allowed to run off of the building in an uncontrolled manner and to pour onto whatever's underneath. You have to, be it for a roof or for a road, you have to thoughtfully control the drainage, the storm runoff, in order for that investment to last. Next slide, please. So now we get into an exhibit, because understandably, there's been a great deal of public engagement because of the concerns about what level of road work was going to be done, what scope of road work was going to be done, and the impacts on the adjacent frontages, the impacts on the trees that are along this primary county road. And so again, this first exhibit here, this first plan sheet, if you will, this shows the portion from Sibley Road at the south end. You can see that in the upper left-hand corner, extending to the north as you go from the top to the bottom. And the north end of this sheet is to the lower right. So again, you can see Sibley Road there in the upper left. As you look along this segment of road, you'll see that there is, it shows where we go from segment one, section one, to section two of the road improvements. And so the mill and fill portion of the road extends from Sibley Road from left to right across the top, and then just a very short distance along the bottom from left to right. And Tiffany's showing right now where that limit is. So again, you can see right there is the limit of the mill and fill portion of the project. And then that changes at that point from a mill and fill to a crush and shape. We'll use the term crush and shape. That's the same as pulverize and pave. It's just a different scope of work. Within that 1,200 feet, there is one tree that is identified for removal. And I mentioned that earlier in the presentation, that the one tree that's identified for removal, it's just north of Greg Johnson's property there at the south end. It's not either of the trees that are immediately adjacent to the driveway. It's just to the north there, and you can see that it's called out, and maybe Tiffany, you can show that one, if you can move your cursor to it. So it's the one tree right there that's called out. It is a sizable tree. It's a 30-inch tree, but that tree is very near the edge of the existing pavement. And I mentioned before that the mill and fill that we're going to perform on this segment of road, really, we can't even effectively perform that mill and fill, and we certainly can't get a 6-inch edge line on there without removing that tree. And so again, the other trees through here, through this 1,200 feet, we're not removing any of the other trees. And most notably, the trees that are in front of Dan and Tony's residence. And again, Tiffany's showing that with her cursor, those majestic trees with the landscaping. We don't intend to remove those trees. And I'll say that those were the trees that jumped out to me when I did my initial drive of the project back in 2025. Those trees are clearly beautiful trees. We do not intend to remove those. And unfortunately, there is the one tree that needs to be removed closer to Greg's house. But again, we really can't make even a mill and fill, a 2-inch mill and fill type improvement without removing that one tree. We'll get to the section two portion, the crush and shape portion of the job now. And again, that's depicted along the southern, the bottom portion of the exhibit here, extending from just north of the City of Chelsea Water Treatment Plant Drive, extending further north from there up towards Ivy Road. And again, there are some tree removals that are identified. They've been called out on here by the tree location and the size of the tree to be removed. Again, these can be hard to read, even on my screen, I'll be honest, but we're going to be posting these to the project website. And we also will have these on a large scale at our in-person public meeting on Wednesday evening at the City of Chelsea. So again, apologies for this being a little tough to read if you're looking on a smaller screen. But again, these will be available. We'll be happy to share these. And so why don't we take a look, Tiffany? And I'll correct myself. Go back to the previous exhibit. The only tree that's shown on that exhibit is the tree that's near Greg Johnson's house. That one that I talked about that's very, very near the edge of the road. The remainder of the trees in that portion of the road, both the mill and fill and the crush and shape portions on that first exhibit, no other trees are going to be removed beyond that one. There we go. Next slide, please. So again, Exhibit 2, this is I'll call it the northern portion, that section 2 of the road improvement. Pretty much this shows the intersection at Werkner and Ivy extending north up to the roundabout at M52. So as you get into this portion, we do have tree removals called out on here. And you can see where we've got our plan call outs that indicate a tree to be removed, the size of tree that needs to be removed. And again, the tree removals that have been called out here are necessary for us to make sure that we're dealing with the road runoff, with the drainage in an appropriate fashion. In all, we've proposed the removal of 48 trees for the entirety of this roughly 1 mile segment of road. Of that, there are no trees that are identified for removal that are 30 inches or larger. So basically, when the surveyors measure the trees, they measure it at chest height. And so we don't have any trees larger than 30 inches that we plan on removing. We do have 2 30-inch diameter trees that we would propose for removal. We have 12 trees that are 21 inches to 29 inches in diameter. We have 10 trees that are 18 inches to 20 inches in diameter. We have 7 trees from 12 inches to 17 inches in diameter. And then we have 17 trees that are smaller than 12 inches in diameter. So again, a total of 48 trees that have been identified through our working with Rowe and looking at design alternatives and listening to the public, because we expected and we heard clearly the public's desire to see us to make thoughtful decisions when we improve this portion of the road. And again, it is not our intention to come out here and clear cut the right of way. It is not our intention to take trees out unnecessarily. The trees that have been identified for removal were done in a thoughtful manner for us to be able to improve the road, and in particular to improve the portion of the road at the north end, that 3,700 feet to the north. Next slide, please. So we'll talk a little bit about traffic data. And that's something else that we consider here at the Road Commission as our team works on any project. Werkner Road, primary county road, it carries approximately 750 vehicles per day. Approximately 30% of that is truck traffic, commercial traffic. And again, that's not terribly surprising. You've got the City of Chelsea Industrial Park that's along Sibley Road there to the south. And also you've got a variety of other vehicles, trucks that would use this. For instance, garbage trucks. They would use this. The county plow trucks, when we come through, and certainly we've been doing a fair amount of plowing this winter, they would use the road and they would clear the road of snow. The crash history on this, I'm thankful to say that the crash history is fairly minimal. There's been 6 deer-related crashes. There's been 1 angle crash and 1 U-turn crash where a motorist decided to make a U-turn in the road and was struck by another vehicle. But again, when we look at crashes, we closely look at, we refer to them as life-altering crashes. So those would be vehicle crashes that result in a fatality or a serious injury type crash. We have not seen that here. So looking back on the history over the last 5 years, I'm thankful to say that there has not been an abundance of crashes, and the crashes that have occurred have not been life-altering. The reason we look at life-altering crashes is often there are ways that we can incorporate improvements into the road to reduce the possibility of that type of crash occurring. And one thing we do have to look closely at when we're trying to make that type of improvement is having a clear zone along either side of the road. That is one of the factors that would improve the safety for the motoring public, is looking at that clear zone. Here, we look at the crashes that have occurred in the past, and we're thankful that that has not been the case here. Next slide, please. Another topic that has been brought up, and certainly not unexpectedly, because it comes up quite a bit, is the speed limit. So again, Werkner Road is currently posted. It's unposted at a prima facie speed at 55 miles per hour or whatever is prudent. So again, looking at the Michigan Vehicle Code, prima facie would mean on the face of it. And basically what that means is that for an unposted county road, the motorist can drive up to 55 miles per hour or whatever is prudent for road conditions. Again, you are not going to be very thoughtful as a motorist if you are driving 55 miles per hour on a snowy and icy day. But that really applies to any road, whether there's a speed limit posted or unposted. It's up to the driver to employ, I'll say, some common sense, which isn't always so common, to actually operate their vehicle in a safe and prudent manner. Speed limits are data driven. So basically the way speed limits are established is they're measured in the field. Prevailing motorist speeds are used to set the speed limit on a road. So we look at the 85th percentile. That basically shows the behavior of most drivers. The reason we want to set a speed limit at that 85th percentile, or at the speed that most drivers drive that segment of road, is it reduces a speed variance. And so to use an example from my travels over this weekend, I had the opportunity to travel up north. And Friday night was kind of tough traveling up north. Not so much because of weather conditions, but I'll say it was weather conditions. It was the gusts, the wind. And so what that caused motorists to do is you've got some motorists traveling at 70 or 75 miles per hour on an expressway, and you've got other motorists that are traveling at like 50 mile per hour on the same section of road. Having that speed variance can create a dangerous situation, because you have that potential that a faster vehicle is going to come up on a slower vehicle and they're going to rear end that vehicle. They're going to hit that vehicle. And so again, the idea in setting speed limits to the speed that most motorists drive is to reduce that speed variance. The establishment of speed limits is a three-party agreement between the Road Commission, the Township, and the Michigan State Police. So again, this applies to county roads. It is different inside city limits. So this doesn't apply to city limits. Anything within the city of Chelsea, city of Ann Arbor, city of Ypsi, there is a different process for the establishment of those speed limits. But for our county road system, it is a three-party agreement with MSP, the Michigan State Police, holding the ultimate authority to establish an enforceable speed limit. So an enforceable speed limit is thereby a traffic control order, essentially a speed limit sign that's put up without a TCO, without that traffic control order, is not enforceable. So again, the Michigan State Police hold that authority to establish a speed limit. The Road Commission will commonly work with our townships to do an initial speed study on a road to measure what that given speed is based on that 85th percentile, and then we submit that to Michigan State Police. It is up to Michigan State Police under current law to evaluate the speeds, to do their own speed study, and then for them to have that authority to say this is the speed to be established. That is not up to the Road Commission. That is not up to the township. And the reality is, this prima facie speed on Werkner Road, this 55 miles per hour, or whatever is safe and prudent based on road conditions, That prima facie speed is not going to change here. And that is just the reality of this situation, is based on the work that the road commission team has done over many years, working with our townships and engaging the Michigan State Police. This speed limit is not going to change. Next slide, please. So the next steps involved in this project, we will have a discussion with an individual property owner with any property that has a tree along the road that is slated for removal. So we would engage those individual property owners. We provide a tree removal notice. So basically that is identifying the trees that we feel need to be removed, and it is offering the trees to the adjacent property owner. So the trees would be cut up into 8-foot lengths, and they would be placed outside of the county road right-of-way if that property owner would want that wood. But again, so before any trees are cut, there is going to be a discussion with each property owner who has a tree identified along their frontage for removal. We are not going to come in the middle of the night and cut down trees. We are not going to come out on a Sunday when we think no one is paying attention and start cutting trees. There is going to be a discussion with each property owner who has a tree in front of their property that is slated to be removed. And those tree removals have to be accomplished before April 1st. And the reason being is because of migratory species, because of consideration being given for migratory bats and migratory birds. We need to have the trees down by April 1st in order for us to be thoughtful about those migratory species. We also have to get permits. And I mentioned that part of this project is the replacement of the crossroad culvert, that large pipe that goes under the road just north of Ivy. We would have to get permits from Eagle and from Water Resources here at the county in order for us to be able to replace that pipe culvert. And then we would put the project out for advertisement and for bid opening. Again, this project would be competitively bid, and through that competitive bidding, we would select the lowest qualified contractor to perform the work that's involved in this project, that including Section 1 to the south, the mill and fill, and Section 2 to the north, the crush and shape, the pulverize and pave portion of the project. We do intend to undertake this construction in 2026. This construction season, generally road construction occurs between May 1st and I'll say Halloween, October 31st. Sometimes you can get on the roads earlier than May 1st. I would say with the amount of frost underneath our roads this year, that's unlikely. It's going to take a while to thaw out from this one. And we generally don't like to go beyond Halloween. Sometimes we will if it's a challenging situation, but the weather, as we all know, it starts to deteriorate as we get into November, and we can't count on having good road building weather after Halloween. Again, that schedule for this project is to be determined because we need to complete our design process. We need to put together bid documents. Those bid documents would indicate to a contractor how much time we are providing them for the road improvement and when the road improvement can be made, where we actually specify a start date and a completion date. So we don't just give the contractor all the way from May 1st until Halloween to do the project. We specify that it has to be done in a given timeline, and then the contractor submits back to us a detailed schedule of how they intend to accomplish the road improvement. Certainly, as that information becomes available, we're going to be sharing that with the township, with the city of Chelsea, with the public, so that people know what to expect. We will have to close the road to make the improvements. So again, the tree removals can be performed pretty much with the road open. We would probably have to take a lane along the road in order for us to perform the road improvements, but we would take a lane and we would maintain traffic with a flagging operation. But for the improvement of the road, for the milling and resurfacing, for the crushing and shaping, we would have to close the road. We would maintain access for all of the properties along the road during the road closure, but for any motorists, any trucks that would intend to travel all the way through the construction site, that will not be permitted. They will have to follow a detour. The detour here is fairly straightforward. It would be Sibley Road to M52 to get around the closure of this portion of Werkner Road. Next slide, please. So you can visit our project page for more information. Our project website, the Road Commission website is www.wcroads.org. So wcroads.org. You can subscribe there to receive project update emails. And we're on a variety of social media. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter/X. And so there's a lot of information out there. And you can certainly contact me. I welcome you to reach out to me. Again, my name is Aaron Burkholtz, and my number is provided there, as well as my email information. I'll turn it back over to Tiffany. Thank you.
Thank you, Burke. I appreciate that. So now what we'll do, this is where I will show you how to find the project updates and project information. I'm going to go out of the presentation now and show you where to find the information on our website. So here you'll go, as Burke said, you'll go to wcroads.org. That will take you to our home screen, wcroads.org. There you'll go to roadwork and construction. You'll drop down to the current projects page. There you can see we have projects all the way out, tabs, projects all the way out to 2028. With our work, we have to plan all the way out to 2028. So here is an interactive map where you can find all the projects there. You can click on the road segment there and find it. Here's Werkner Road right here. You can click on that, and that's the Werkner Rd Project. You can click on more information if you would like that way. That's one way to find the Werkner Rd Project. Or you can scroll down and see all of the tabs of the projects we're doing here in 2026. Again, here's the Werkner Road tab. This is this project we're working on. You'll see here, it'll populate Werkner Road between M52 and Sibley Road there. Okay. Come on down, you'll see all of the information there, road closure with a detour, all of the information that Aaron Burkholtz said there. His contact information and project updates will be here at the bottom. You'll see every time we make a project update, we put it here and we send it out to all those who subscribe. I'll show you how to subscribe. Here, we will put this presentation under helpful links. We already have a few already there. So we'll put this one, this video, the presentation. We'll also put all of the exhibits underneath the helpful links. You'll also subscribe to the project updates by clicking on that link there. You'll put your email address here, your name and your zip code. Click on all the townships you would like information on. We send this out. Advisories or closures, the weekly road work schedule that we send out. That is what's happening the week going forward. I will show you the weekly road work schedule here shortly. But click on whichever you would like information on, any closures or anything of that nature. And then there's projects. So here's the Werkner Rd Project. You would click on the Werkner Rd Project or any project you would want. You can make multiple selections and then you hit the subscribe button there. That's how you subscribe to our project updates. I spoke about the weekly road work schedule. So you go back up to the home bar there. It has a lot of information. You go there and you look there and you'll see the weekly road work schedule. There you'll find information of projects that are happening. This is this week, Monday, February 9th through Sunday the 15th. There you can find, you can look through your township there and see where projects and where we are and the contact information. These are different various projects we're working on right now. So that lets you know this gets very extensive in the summer season. Obviously, we're really busy. Also, I'd like to bring attention to you. We have a township page just for everyone here. And this is where we have a lot of information on our township and what's happening in your township. You click on your township, and that explains a lot going on. We talk about our funding packages. You see the Werkner Road update is there. Everything happening within Sylvan Township will be found here. And then again, you can subscribe. These are township agreements, booklets we've done. I think Burke has, or Aaron, talked about the booklets and all the township packets. Those will be updated. The 2026, we're working on that as well. Okay, now I'm going to come back out and I'm going to go back into the presentation now for us to, I have a few questions now. And so we're going to open that up. I'm going to show you how to do and ask a question for those who may not know. If you're viewing this meeting on your computer, first make sure to click the join audio. You can raise your hand by clicking the participants or reactions button at the bottom of your screen and then raise the raise your hand button at the bottom of your screen. If you dialed into the meeting from your phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. As the meeting host, I will unmute participants with raised hands one at a time. I will announce either your username or the last four digits of your phone number when it is your turn to speak. We are happy to answer as many questions as possible, but please be respectful of each other's time. If your question was answered before you're called upon, you can lower your hand and click on the lower hand button. Also, I'm monitoring the chat, and so are my chat, and so is Aaron and our managing director. I want to toss it over to my managing director now. He would like to open it up before we open it up for questions. He would like to make a comment here. Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you, Tiffany, and thank you, Aaron. Great job on presenting the material. As you can see, a lot of thought goes into these projects, and we do hear all the public input that we received thus far, and look forward to the questions coming up. Also, I wanted to take note of the Werkner Road in-person meeting. That's going to be February 11th. That's this Wednesday at 6 p.m. We are going to start that meeting. It is going to be an open house format. However, we are going to allow for public comments for the first 30 minutes. And then after which we'll get into some stations that people can go to, and we'll have a number of staff there to talk directly with any questions that you may have or want to describe in detail particular property impacts. So look forward to those conversations, and also look forward to the question and answer period here. All of it will be posted to the project website, so feel free to check that out as Tiffany and Aaron described. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Tiffany. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I just asked Senator Sue Shank is here, and I asked her to unmute.
Hi.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you. I just didn't know if you were ready.
Thank
Go ahead.
you. Yes. No, thank you. Thank you for this meeting. It was very informative. I'm the senator in this area, and as a county commissioner and now as a senator, I've brought back participated with I guess you should say Team Washtenaw County to bring back millions to maintain our roads. But never have I heard from any of my constituents that they wanted this money to go to cutting the trees. Most people say fix our roads, but they're very upset when the large trees especially, but almost any trees, are cut along our roads. They're an important part of how we see ourselves in this community. I understand that this is a routine project to extend the service life of the road. I haven't heard constituents ask for this, and I have heard them ask for other roads to be repaired. I understand and appreciate that the funds are going to be going back to the place where they came. I think that's important. But I also think that when we weigh the benefits versus the harms, that remembering that this is a routine maintenance that a lot of people are really fired up and upset about is very important. It is going to cause significant damage to this neighborhood. Most of the people who will be speaking out don't see this as a service. They see this as an actual harm to the community to cut these trees. Whether they're 30 inches or 18 inches or 20 inches, they're really big trees. And when you look at that road, this neighborhood will be immensely changed by their loss, not to mention the loss to the carbon sequestration, the water absorption, and the species, including the endangered ones who would use this. I understand that they're in the right of way. Still, the right of way is something that people see as part of their front yard, part of their lives, and quite frankly, when I'm driving down the road, it's part of my community and my experience as well. This is a very rural road. And I will also say that people who are not usually involved in talking about the trees or caring about the trees or even in the environment have been reaching out to me, asking me for my help and what can they do to stop this. And that's why I'm becoming involved, because people have reached out to me, quite a few, to ask me to participate. We are in a time, well, I'm going to say something first. To all of you on the road commission as employees or as road commissioners, I know that you love this community and you care deeply about our community and about your service to our community. And I appreciate you. And that's why I think that you may be receptive to this next statement as well. We are in a time of government not being of service, but of being oppressive. The Road Commission wants to be of service and responsive to our community. However, when cutting this many trees, and I've heard from some of the people who live near the project or whose trees would be cut down, they're devastated. It goes against the will of the people. It feels oppressive. It erodes trust in all forms of government at every level. Our job is to serve the public, the motoring public, the biking public, the walking public, and the public who live along the road, even if it's not in the mission statement. Please be responsive. Please serve the public. Please don't cut the trees. Find a way, especially where you're widening the road. It's 8 feet wider. That's not just a little bit. That's not just a shoulder. It doesn't need to be done. There's some other road that could be fixed. Please go ahead and repave if you can do it without cutting the trees, but please don't cut the trees. And again, thank you for your service. Thank you for listening. And please, please, please change course, because in this time of incredible upheaval, sadness about the state of our government, the Road Commission can be responsive. So thank you again very, very much.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate your comments. Certainly, this is not a routine maintenance project as described by Aaron Burkholz. This is a major reconstruct of the pavement for that north end, and we have tried to be very context sensitive as described. I would encourage everyone that's participating to take a look at the impacts. That section 1 as described, where a lot of the majestic trees are. We certainly understand that is not something we're going to be impacting, and we're hearing the need to minimize impacts, absolutely, and ultimately, if we were looking to do zero impacts to trees, then the project would not move forward. All right, Tiffany, why don't we go ahead and take other questions or comments?
Will do. 1 second. Okay, so I do have some questions in the chat, but I'm going to go with the folks who have their hands raised first. Lauren Ruhlman, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So first of all, thank you, Senator Schenck. Exactly 100%. Many of us agree. Let me ask a question about the tree, a tree question and a road question. The road question is, my are destructive to the road, and you stated Who has the authority to set weight limits? Will those change? And the second question is, for the 1,200 feet where the number one tree, the one tree is breaking or being cut down. How was that surface redone before, given where the tree is, given that you stated you cannot do a mill and refill? I hope you heard that, both questions.
We did not hear the first one. I heard something about weight limits, so my
Okay,
apologies, you were breaking up there.
I'm sorry, I'm traveling. The first question is, given that I assume heavy trucks that you referenced are destructive to the road, and your goal is to preserve the life of the road, who has authority for weight limits, and will those change with this project? And then the tree question was about the 1,200 feet on the south end, that one tree, were alternatives explored, why were they rejected, and how was mill and fill done prior with that tree in location?
Okay, so weight limits are, the Road Commission is a regulatory agency, so we don't make any of the laws. And so a lot of the weight limits depicted on our truck operators map, that comes from state law made in Lansing. So that answers that question, I believe. And then as Aaron had described, given the mill and resurfacing and the need for a larger lane line, that's really coming from the Michigan Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. They kind of set that how wide the edge line needs to be. And then also with the vehicle technology, and it's a really must need for safety feature. So the widened lane line is really driving that. Used to be a 4-inch line, now it's a 6-inch line, and that particular tree is right on the edge of the paved shoulder. Maybe it wasn't initially 10 plus years ago, but certainly has grown since. So that really describes that question, or answers that question, hopefully. Go ahead, Tiffany, if you want to go on to the next person.
Will do. Justin Perkins, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you, everybody.
Hello.
I have a few questions. I'll try to go through them in sequence. And if the answers are, we don't know, we don't have that information, that's fine. And you can just get back to me.
Justin, maybe we could go one at a time,
Sure.
just because it gets a little tough to answer all your questions if there's multiple.
Sure. Ignoring patchwork and minor chip and seal projects, how long has it been since this road was materially resurfaced?
I don't have that particular. I know the seal coat was done not that long ago, a few years ago. I don't have that information, but we can certainly, I have your information. We can provide that to you.
Okay, thanks. Does PACER incorporate any other assessments like drainage, structure, anything like that, or is it purely a visual assessment?
It is a visual assessment.
Okay. In 2023, the M52 traffic was detoured down Werkner, and this really contributed to the deterioration of the road. Does WCRC have the PACER rating before and after this work was done?
We take PACER ratings every year on primary roads, so we could certainly look back and provide that to you.
Okay.
And if you want to follow up and send me an email, Justin, you have my email.
I will. Do you believe that this road work would need to happen if the M52 detour activity had not happened?
Yes, it would have deteriorated. The pavement was like Aaron had said, it's nearing the end of its service life. Okay. Or is there.
Can you confirm it's 48 trees in total that will be removed?
That's what's in the current plan, correct.
Do you have approximately what % of trees?
So there's 251 trees in the right of way.
Okay, so this is 20% of all trees will be removed, roughly?
In the right of way.
Okay. Lauren asked this question earlier, but for the southern section where one tree will be removed, what alternatives to avoid this tree were evaluated, and why were those alternatives rejected?
We've covered that.
Were there alternatives that were evaluated for the 47 trees to the northern part of the project?
Absolutely. So we looked at different, as Aaron described, we looked at the various alternatives on how to handle drainage. Really, that's the biggest reason why those impacts and why the pavement deterioration exists today is because water doesn't have an opportunity to find its way off the road. We use the example of the roof with the gutters. And really that's what we're looking to do when we're making a significant investment like reconstructing the pavement itself in the section 2. We've got to find a way for the water to get to an outlet, and it can't ride the edge because that would not be good use of public funds, because the road would just turn back into what it looks like today if we were just to resurface and not address the drainage.
Has WCRC planned for any tree replacements in this project?
We do not do tree replacement. That is not something that's allowed for under the law with Michigan transportation funds.
Was that explored with any other agency?
Certainly, we're open to partnerships, but that has not been the case in the past. Certainly, County Parks is a good partner in that realm, but we are not allowed to with Michigan transportation funds.
Okay.
Thank you.
The stated purpose of the shoulder widening is safety on the project website. What safety improvements are in scope besides shoulder widening? Were there any that were explored besides shoulder widening?
So safety, obviously, the pavement condition is number one driver on this project, and then as we talked, the pavement markings, getting those reestablished, and with the widening. One of the things the shoulder mate will do will certainly protect that investment as well. If people do choose to do non-motorized, it'll give them the space to do so. Obviously, shoulders themselves, there's a lot of safety aspects that one can certainly make the case that it's a recoverable area, so that people can recover nicely if a mistake is made and they can get back on the road without too much trouble. So certainly that safety aspect of shoulders, from our perspective, one of our largest issues in the county is when we have drivers leaving the road and can ultimately experience a crash that may change their life, and that's one of the ones that certainly the wider shoulder can address. It's a proactive system approach. And Aaron or Brent, do you have any other things to add?
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Matt, because really, when we look at that shoulder area that we would provide, that 4-foot shoulder on each side of the northern section, the crush and shape portion of the road, that shoulder would provide that recovery area, Matt. You mentioned that, should a motorist, for whatever reason, leave the traveled portion of the road, it gives them an opportunity to steer back into the road. They're simply not leaving a paved edge and immediately going on to a gravel shoulder, or in the case of the road right now, no shoulder. They would just be driving on grass and dirt and a variety of materials. It really is a proactive approach. All too often in the past, the Road Commission has been accused of being purely reactive, where we wait for crashes to occur, and then we try to take appropriate steps to correct for that. We're trying to be more proactive to promote the safety of the public. Also, that shoulder area provides an ability for us to better maintain the road in the long term. Because when we get snows, particularly with the snows we've had this year, we have an area to push that snow back from that white edge line to get it away from the edge of the traveled road and get it into a shoulder area, if you will, a storage area beyond the traveled portion of the road. So again, having those 4-foot shoulders on either side improves the safety for the motoring public, and provides for better routine maintenance going into the future on this improved road.
Okay, thank you. I want to say thank you. Justin, we've answered several of your questions. We can come back to you in a second, but we have a lot of people who want to get to their questions. So can we're going to ask them to let their question be. And if you want to continue, we can do that, or you can contact Aaron or Matt after that. But let's get to some other folks here for a second here. I'm going to ask Jess to unmute.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead,
Okay,
Jess.
sorry. Couple things I wanted to, on the heels of Senator's comments. You guys received signatures of 1,700 petitions. If anybody's not aware, there are 372,000 residents in Washtenaw County. Roughly 62,000 of those are rural. That's outside cities, which is frankly, Road Commission, that's your constituency, those 63,000 residents. This is 2.7% of those 62,000 residents have spoke up and told you this is a problem. So that's the first thing I want to comment on. I started this discussion with Aaron, with Mr. Burkholz in 2024 after the road was quite frankly destroyed by the detour. And my question to him was at the time was why a bond was not paid by the contractor when we diverted all that traffic. We were averaging 30 to 40 gravel trains a day up this road that transport stone off 94 and up to 96. It literally destroyed our road. There is no base under this road. Your employees, Washtenaw County Road Commission employees, have told me it's what they call a double chip seal road. There's a hole in front of my shop that you guys continue to fill, and the dirt actually comes up out of the road. So I can tell you there's no base underneath it. But on to questions. The issue I have is I was a state trooper for a decade. I was a crash reconstructionist. Are you guys telling us that by widening the roads that the speeds will slow and become safer? Because I can't believe that widening a road is going to slow traffic down.
No, we're not advocating it's going to be slower. In fact, we talked that the speed limit's not really changing. To speak to, we certainly received the petition, so thank you for pointing that out. One of the things I do want folks to realize, certainly the details of the project were not publicly available. We're just making them now available. And there was a lot of misinformation, like we were going to remove all the trees, particularly the majestic oaks throughout the road. And that is absolutely not the case. It never was. We just weren't ready to share the project plan. So certainly that is now available for folks to look at and ask questions about, and hopefully that you can see we are being very thoughtful on that.
Okay.
In
Well, I'm
particular
gonna interrupt you,
to
Matt.
just in particular to the MDOT question. So MDOT M52 was closed at some point. It was permitted and they needed a detour. The detour was Werkner Road to Sibley. Oftentimes, whether it's signed or not, people are going to take the shortest route. So certainly we know that was impactful to the residents and certainly impactful to the road, given its condition. We do have numerous pavement cores. The southern end definitely has more asphalt than the northern end. That's probably why it looks the way it does. And we knew this project was on the books for a reconstruct essentially for that northern section. So given all that, that permit was allowed, and we didn't have a lot of alternatives for the project that on M52.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go with Sheila. Sheila, go ahead and ask your question. I asked you to unmute.
Hello.
Sheila,
Hello.
go ahead.
Hello. I just wanted to thank you for your consideration in saving some of the trees, but I do think we could do better. My question was that I was wondering why the road was ignored so long to get in this bad of a condition, but now hearing people speak about all the traffic that was diverted during the M52 construction, it kind of makes sense why the road got so bad so quickly. So with that being said, maybe we could take that into consideration of another reason why we need to save the trees for the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. David, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Go ahead, David.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Excellent. So a couple questions. Will the culvert replacement increase the weight limit on the road?
No, it will not.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Um,
Good question.
so we're widening section 2, but we're not widening section 1. Which I advocate don't widen either one of them. I understand your drainage problems, but why is it significant to widen the section 2 when we're not doing that down in section 1?
So, thank you, David. There's a couple of reasons for that on section 2. The first one I'll offer is that when we do a pulverize and shape and pave, or when we do a crush and shape, that raises the profile of the road just by the nature of blending that material, laying that material back down, putting a crown in that material, and then compacting that material, and then putting 4 inches of new asphalt on top of it. We're going to raise the road by a few inches. And so we basically have to bring that newly improved road surface into the existing roadsides that lies outside of the pavement. And so it's different than a mill and resurface, because the mill and resurface is very, I'll say, relatively straightforward, where we take 2 inches off and put 2 inches back in the same spot. So one of the reasons we would need that shoulder improvement going towards the north end, that section 2, is because of the nature of the work that we need to do to effectively improve that road. The other reason would be is that when we do a crush and shape, a pulverization, that provides us with an opportunity to also improve the shoulder area for the reasons that we've stated previously. Really, to do the same for a mill and resurface, that would be beyond the scope of that type of work. It goes back to that analogy I provided about the roof, that the south end is really just pulling the shingles off and replacing the shingles. The north end is you need to pull the shingles off and replace panels of plywood underneath. Really, that's what we're doing to the north, and that brings in that shoulder improvement.
Okay,
And
thank
Aaron,
you.
also, I will add, the tree removals is for the drainage establishment, not necessarily the shoulders themselves.
Yeah, okay.
So,
All right, thank you both. I have 2 more questions, so I'll try to get through them really quickly. Because it comes back to the drainage and the line width. Line width has been quoted several times, and it helps with the autonomous driving features of cars today that allow you to spot the shoulders and stuff. An awful lot of roads out there that don't have that available, and an awful lot of people don't use it. Is it required? And
yeah, the pavement marking is absolutely required. We just mentioned that as just a for instance, but
okay.
pavement markings in general in a rural area during a dark and rainy night, that's really the crux of the issue. We want that line to really stand out, and that's why we moved from 4 to 6.
Okay, thank you. An awful lot of roads in the area don't have them, including the north section of Werkner, which not section 2, but north of 52 where I live.
We are converting all of our roads to a 6-inch edge line. That's going to take some time. Over time, we will get that done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So the last one, because unfortunately, I'm an engineer too, so I've always get asked to show options on things I'm proposing and do. There's got to be options out there for both drainage, and the width of the road to save those trees. There's always an option. Engineers get forced into it all the time. So you stated that you actually looked at what you could do not to cut the trees and don't have an option. I guess my push as an engineer pushing back is look harder. There are options out there. There's got to be something.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we could look at relocating the road to the east to avoid that one tree removal. However, that would mean other trees get removed because trees are on both sides of the road. We have to maintain our 11-foot lanes, and then we have to have room for a paint line. So I'm open up to suggestions, and certainly we can talk more at the in-person meeting if you're available.
Okay.
Thank you. I have a question from Pam. Here you go. I'll ask you to unmute. Go ahead, Pam.
Thank you. I have two quick questions. Trying to find alternatives to this current plan, as I think Jess was suggesting. Jess, I think I live down the road from you. I'm not sure. You mentioned that there would be curb and gutter added to the side. How much does that add? And could you just leave it off? Would that narrow the size of the road?
Yeah, thank you, Pam. And actually, what I tried to convey, and maybe I wasn't effective in doing so during the presentation, is the curb does reduce the amount of the impact along the frontage if the property that's adjacent rises up from the road. Because again, basically, rather than us putting in a 2-foot paved shoulder and a 2-foot gravel shoulder that then extends into a ditch line, we put in a 2-foot paved shoulder and a 2-foot wide curb, and there is no ditch. But again, you have to have that scenario on that adjacent property where the property rises up from the curb that's going in. To simply eliminate the curb, we wouldn't have anything there to convey the stormwater. You would have a 2-foot paved shoulder, and then you would have nothing, and the water would just run in an uncontrolled manner and drain or not drain. So again, the idea with the curb is actually to reduce the impacts on those adjacent properties. We've employed that along that section 2 in as much as we've been able to, based on the topography and the adjacent property. And again, that's one of the steps that we took as we were thoughtfully working with our design consultant to try to limit the impacts, was looking at where we could effectively use curb and gutter to control the water and where we simply can't use it. And we need an open ditch section as depicted on the screen there.
Okay, thanks. My other question is looking again for alternatives. I looked up the Natural Beauty Road website, and they say that they receive, quote, more sensitive maintenance, unquote. Is there a way that this road could be considered a natural beauty road? I mean, I know it doesn't have a lot of the features of some beautiful roads in Michigan, but the trees are so fabulous. It seems like they should be saved, and perhaps that whatever more sensitive maintenance is could be employed here.
Again, this excellent question, good point on natural beauty. There is a process in which we go through to assess candidate roadways that people bring forth. But routine maintenance, that is one term that comes up. Routine maintenance for us is snow plowing, pothole patching, and ultimately this is not that. This is a reconstruction of a roadway. Road construction is very different than routine maintenance. And so we've been applying those same very context sensitive, trying to limit impacts to the trees. Certainly the trees that have been, there's been a lot of discussion of the tree removals and some vocal resonance. The pictures that I've seen, the public outcry of the trees that were thought to be removed, that is not the case. They are smaller in nature, and not the majestic ones that I think a lot of folks have in their mind. So I would encourage you to take a look at the exhibits once we post them on the project website, and also come out on Wednesday evening. Happy to have a discussion on which ones are being impacted and what truly are the impacts of the project.
Okay, well,
Okay,
thank
thanks.
you.
I think
Thanks,
30
Pam.
inches is pretty majestic. I think
Oh, thanks, Pam. Melissa, I'm going to ask you to unmute.
This is Justin Perkins. I think you clicked the wrong name here, but
Oh,
I do
okay.
have more questions when it's my turn.
Okay, well, I'll get back with you 1 second, Justin. You're under Melissa now, right?
No,
no, Justin. Okay, you're under. Okay, I'm sorry. I actually hit that. Okay, so I'll
that's
get
all
you
right.
1 second.
Okay.
Melissa, here you go. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
Thank you. I was like, I'm trying to, and it's not working.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Did you mark the trees that you're going to plan on cutting yet?
We have not. No, that's what we're trying to do with the exhibit. Is you'll see the exhibit once you go on the project web page, and it's a PDF. You can kind of zoom in. We've marked it with the size, and you can see a depiction of the tree on the aerial. So that gives you a real good indication of which ones are marked on the sheet for removal. We have not marked them in the field. We want to have that discussion with the property owner first. As Aaron indicated, we're going to be talking to all the property owners and specifically kind of go over what are the impacts to their frontage.
Yeah, I think it would help everybody if, like, even put a ribbon, or like what you guys usually do is mark it with a blue dot so that.
Yeah, we usually mark it with a paint dot.
Yeah, and Melissa, I'll offer, having been on site, there were several trees that were marked with a blue dot, and generally that blue dot was put on the back side of the tree. I don't know who marked those trees. Like, I don't know. Generally, when we mark a tree for removal, we're using pink paint. It's on the road side of the tree. I'll call it the front side of the tree. And we did have some discussion here. I discussed it with the road commission team, the idea that should we just go out and mark the trees now so that people see it? But our concern is that people would feel that means then it's a done deal. That, well, if we marked them, the road commission isn't listening, and we're going to come out. And again, we're going to come out in the middle of the night or on a Sunday afternoon and cut down the trees. Again, we want to make sure we have the discussion with the property owner that's adjacent to the tree removal before we would mark the trees. So at least then they're not surprised by it.
That makes sense, but isn't it kind of like a done deal anyways? It's not like we have a say realistically.
No, we do welcome input from the public. We feel that we've gone through actually an extensive design on a project like this to come up with an alternative that both improves the road, it invests in it in a long-term manner, and reduces the amount of property frontage impacts in as much as we are able. But we're always willing to discuss it. That's one of the reasons we're having today's meeting and having the meeting on Wednesday evening in Chelsea, is to talk to people about it. We're not closed-minded to suggestions. Here we do feel that we've invested significant resources to come up with as reasonable an option as we can to both improve the road and limit the tree removals.
Yeah, we certainly want to work with property owners if they have plans for their property, if they would be able to live with a steeper grade to avoid grading impacts. That is like absolutely a discussion we want to have with property owners.
I mean, we moved out here because of the trees in the nature. The survey that you did for 750 vehicles, is that between Sibley and M52? And when was that completed?
Yeah, we usually, they're called traffic counters. You'll see the black tubes on the road. We can certainly get you that information of when that was. I believe it was I'm seeing getting a text. 2022 was the last count taken.
And what was the time span?
It's
Like
usually
over a
over a
week?
24-hour period.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the average daily traffic, Melissa. So yeah, it'd be 750 vehicles on average during a 24-hour period.
Okay.
All
Have
right, but
anybody has
go ahead,
anybody done
Melissa.
a um like a survey or of other roads that have had this completed and if the crashes have gone up for non-motorized people that use the road now? Because now there's going to be more bicyclists, more walkers, which tends to increase accidents. Has that been compared?
No, I'm not aware of a survey such as that.
That was it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you. I have some comments in the chat. Let me go to the chat and then I'll come back here. I know Jacqueline asked, can drainage be done with smaller shoulders, i.e. like 2 foot rather than the 4 foot shoulders?
Yes, we would have to essentially for the curb section. Right now, we have a 2 foot paved and then the 2 foot wide curb adjacent to it. We would have to completely eliminate the shoulder there and basically put our curb section immediately adjacent to the traveled portion of the road. For the open ditch section, we would have to eliminate the 2 foot gravel and go maybe to a 2 foot wide paved shoulder directly into the slope going into the ditch. So we could narrow it further, but again, we feel that we've narrowed that shoulder in as much as we are able, keeping in mind that roadside safety, keeping in mind our need to effectively maintain the road. We really feel that that 4 foot shoulder or that 2 foot paved and curb section is as far as we can go and still provide that long-term investment to the benefit of the community.
Okay, we also had a comment from Jeff talking about, I own as much or more frontage as anyone on this road and appreciate your extra efforts to make the road safe and durable. Keep up the good work. He also made that comment. I also have
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that.
yes, and I also have a comment from James. He says species of trees as well as size would be important in delineating. Do we know the species?
We do not have the species identified in the plan. Certainly, as we meet with property owners, we can discuss that. But as far as we generally will collect whether it's a deciduous or a pine, and then whether it's the size. That's usually our concerns.
Okay, and then we have Melissa, I think we answered all your, oh, how long will the road be closed for? I told her about 2 to 3 weeks. That's weather permitting and contractor scheduling. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'd probably say, Tiffany, that we'd be closer to 3 to 4 weeks to complete a project of this scope.
Oh, okay, because I know there's a culvert involved. My apologies, Melissa.
Yeah.
But we'll go with 3 to 4 weeks there for anyone knowing and asking that. And we will obviously put that out on the project page and that will be sent out via email. Please subscribe on those so you'll know when that happens. It'll be on our weekly roadwork schedule. Let me see who else I have here in the chat. Pam. Oh, Pam, we've answered all your questions in my chat. Thank you so much for participating. Okay, and Dawn, have you evaluated oak wilt impact of cutting oak trees, particularly during warmer months?
Yes, certainly we know about oak wilt and would typically do our trimming prior to those months. If we had to do trimming, there is a provision where you can put some treatment on the fresh cut to prevent that. Typically, we don't like to do that. We try and do it prior to those months where they don't recommend trimming or removals.
Thank you. Lauren asked, was an environmental impact assessment completed before engineering design occurred?
Given this scope of work, we do not need to complete an environmental impact study.
Okay. Jess, I'm going to ask you to unmute and then I'll get back to you, Justin. 1 second. Go ahead, Jess.
Can you hear me?
Hello, Jess,
All
go
right,
ahead.
sorry about that. We got multiple computers going in the office, so we're trying not to overlap on each other. I don't know if this is a question for you, Aaron, or Matt. Do you guys have cross sections? So my property, the 1,320 feet running from this the Gaunts up to basically Ivy Road, there is I mean, I'm sitting in my office right now. My property is almost 9 feet higher than the road, adjacent to the road. So in your, I'm not sure if Tiffany can switch slides to your cross section. You're showing a 1-on-4 slope. I'm just wondering how, like, what your plan. Do you guys have any cross sections of what's going to happen in those areas?
So we have an aerial view with the curb and gutter for a lot of your frontage. The cross sections are kind of the typical. It would not necessarily apply to yours. Yours would be a lot of it would be the curb section. In fact, there are no tree removals along your property frontage.
No, and I
Zero.
appreciate that, Matt. I guess what I'm looking at is in your proposed parcel section in the lower left corner of your screen right now, you're showing a 1-on-4 there. And I understand it's a typical detail. I
Yeah,
get
it's just a typical. We'd have to look specifically at your section, and we're going to have to reserve that for when we talk one-on-one as a property owner, and
Okay,
or
so
on Wednesday night we can
so
get into
row,
those
unfortunately,
details.
we're going to be out of the country. We
Okay,
can't make that.
we'll make an arrangement for
Okay.
time to
So row, I
go
guess
through
what I'm
that.
asking, Matt, is row doesn't have any specific details for those sections yet. Because as a builder, I just don't see how you're going to get away without retaining wall there. I mean, it's literally goes from the current lack of shoulder that's there up about 7 to 8 feet.
Yeah, and Jess, again, we can get into detailed discussions with you when we come out to visit, but
Okay.
your section, as Matt said, is largely the curb and gutter section. And as I described, the advantage that your property frontage would have is you're higher than the road.
Sure.
That allows us to get that curb and gutter, that 2 foot wide curb and gutter section in. And then we could come up away from that with a steeper slope. Like we could come up at even like a 1-on-2, which again is going to further limit the impacts. But the way that we currently have it laid out, none of the trees that were identified along your frontage would be coming out.
Okay. Last question is your curb and gutter. Where's all that water going? Are you guys going to a stormwater system or is it going to be open discharge?
Open discharge. It would go into a spillway.
Okay. And those points of exit have yet to be identified yet, or is that part of Rose's plan?
No, we've identified the spillway locations, and then opening that spillway into an open ditch section, and then conveying that water into existing water courses.
Yeah, you'll see them on the exhibits, the spillways and the ditching, and then there's even flow indicators of direction of flow. So definitely check out the project website, and a PDF of the exhibits will be there.
Okay, thanks, guys.
You bet.
All right. Okay. And then I'll have you lower your hand. And I have 1 second. I have one gentleman. Okay, Justin, I think you were next. Justin, go ahead, Justin. Justin, are you there? Justin Perkins?
Hi, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
Unmute button left for a second. Okay, so just really quickly, back to the safety topic. Were there any other safety improvements that are in scope of this project? We talked about stop signs being basically not within the authority of the Roads Commission, but it does seem like there are a lot of other less expensive and less invasive safety improvements that could be made, like rumble strips, painting dedicated turn lanes, wildlife warning signs, dynamic feedback signs, other traffic calming measures. Are there any safety improvements that are in scope of this project aside from the shoulder work?
So, Justin, I'll mention I think we had talked previously with you about the dynamic feedback signs, the speed trailers or speed signs. We do find those are effective. They have to be used in a manner that makes them effective. Essentially, if you leave a speed sign out too long, a digital speed display, it becomes kind of background noise to the motorist, where they just start to ignore it. But dynamic feedback signs can be effective. Um, Rumble strips, we do put them along our county primary roads in certain locations. There are centerline rumble strips, there are shoulder rumble strips. Generally, what leads us to put rumble strips down along the center line or along the edge line is where there's a history of lane departure crashes, is when we're going out and making that investment to put rumble strips down. Rumble strips also can lead to some negative feedback, because if drivers are prone to leaving their lane, it causes noise. And basically, that noise can be a nuisance to adjacent property owners. The stop sign question, again, right now, Werkner Road, you've got the roundabout at the north end, you've got the stop control at the south end. Really, you wouldn't want to make Ivy at Werkner a three-way stop, because Werkner Road is clearly the through road. And what we look at when we determine as the road commission where stop signs are going to be installed is we look at warrants. And so warrants are basically a list of, I'll use the term requirements loosely, and it basically, that provides a good basis to determine when stop signs are installed. But the short answer is, Justin, no. The only intended safety improvement that we're going to make out here for the north section only, for section 2 only, is putting a 2-foot paved, 2-foot gravel shoulder, or putting a 2-foot paved, 2-foot wide curb in, to allow some area for motorists that may depart the lane to get back in their lane before they drive off the road.
Okay, great. And I think Jess asked a related question, but I'm not sure that it was totally answered. So I'll kind of circle back to it. What has been the consideration on safety, the net effect of safety from increased operating speeds? And I'm not talking about a posted speed limit. I'm talking about driver behavior as you widen shoulders and there's an increased amount of comfort driving. Has there been consideration for the increase in operating speed? I think this is important because, as you mentioned, Aaron, the crash history on their road is very low. So it seems that we wouldn't really be looking at a crash reduction. We would be looking at, how do we make sure that we don't get more crashes? And how do we make sure that the crash severity doesn't go up? I think a concern that's shared by me and several residents is that widening shoulders increases operating speeds and is likely to increase crash severities. So has that been considered in a net safety analysis that has also included the impact of induced non-motorized traffic?
Yeah, Justin, the federal highway has several studies where it shows that widened shoulders actually reduce crashes. And reduce severity of crashes. So that's the premise that we're working from.
Okay, but is there a context-specific analysis for this project that considers those things?
There has not been other than us reviewing the crashes, and certainly in reviewing the crashes, 6 deer crashes is significant. And typically when drivers do see an animal, their reaction is to veer. Even though we'd say don't veer for deer, that does happen. And that's when you see leaving the road, and having that shoulder does make a lot of sense.
Okay.
Certainly we can look at that. We're looking at obviously a 20-year improvement. That's what we're hopefully shooting for in section 2. So that is, and certainly over that time period, we can certainly look at other safety features to add. And we have not seen a net effect of a 4-foot shoulder increasing speed. As I said, we do a lot of counts, and in doing the traffic counts on our primary system, we also look at the speed data from those counts. We have never, over my career, noticed an increase solely due to a 4-foot shoulder.
Okay, great. So this is my last question. I just want to confirm. The stated purpose of the project is safety. That's on the project website.
It is in the material, but as I stated previously, Really, the big reason why we're here, and as Aaron had indicated, is the pavement condition, and that it's at the end of its service life, and always we're looking at safety when we're doing projects.
Okay. And so there's a service life element, there's a safety element, and there's an environmental impact element.
Sure.
And I just want to confirm there has not been a corridor specific net effect safety analysis performed for this project. And the commission's position is an environmental impact assessment is not needed for this project. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Renee, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Go ahead. Renee, go ahead. Renee Quinn, hello, you have your hand up. Okay, I guess Renee doesn't have a question now. Okay, all right, well.
Is there anyone else, Tiffany?
No, I do not have anyone else who has a question at this time.
Well, I'll just say thank you again for everyone that's attended. We look forward to our meeting on Wednesday night in the city of Chelsea. It's an in-person to review that will be more of an open house format. It is our first 30 minutes. We will take public comment, and then we'll go into the open house format. We'll have stations for folks to ask direct questions to staff on a little closer view of the project plan. Difficult to do online here, but appreciate everyone's patience in working through this subject with us and the project information.
All right. Thank you, Matt. And this concludes our meeting for the Werkner Rd Project. See you all on Wednesday.